In most Indian cities, road rage is routine. Bad roads, too many vehicles, and tempers that snap in seconds. What was a road rage clash in Bengaluru quickly snowballed into a full-blown language controversy.
He came out, started abusing me in Kannada.
And surprise, surprise, the national media was happy to fan the flames.
We've forgotten that the military man who lays down his life doesn't do it exclusively for a Kashmiri, a Punjabi, a Malayali or a Kannadiga. He does it, viewers, to protect Indians.
Within minutes of Wing Commander Shiladitya Bose posting his video, it was distorted as a supposed attack on the armed forces. And add to this a claim of North versus South. You know, Hindi versus Kannada. What's disturbing is the major role played by the media and the right wing. Alarming headlines, toxic panel discussions, and one-sided outrage. So what really happened that day? And why is a section of the media fueling the false narrative of South versus the armed forces repeatedly? Let me explain. Now, before I go into how a section of the media distorted the facts to spin an anti-Kannadiga story, let me remind you this is why the News Minute exists. We don't jump to conclusions, we verify. We report from the ground and we push back against lazy narratives, whether they come from political leaders, prime-time panels, or viral videos. If you think that this kind of journalism matters, then do support me and my team. Become a subscriber of the News Minute and News Laundry right away. And if you already are a subscriber, make sure that you gift a subscription either to a friend or a family member. If you're watching this from India, then you can scan the QR code on your screen and become a subscriber. If you're watching this from some other country, there is a link in the description that you can click on. And remember, a new episode of Let Me Explain drops every Saturday. And do write to me at pooja@thenewsminute.com with any suggestion, queries, and even feedback. Wing Commander Shiladitya Bose of the Indian Air Force was involved in an incident. Bengaluru police are calling it a clear-cut case of road rage. A video of him bleeding, shaken, emotional, and clearly distressed went viral.
He came out, started abusing me in Kannada, and then seeing that my car has a DRDO sticker, he says that you be DRDO people, and said many things in Kannada, and finally she abused my wife.
And of course, there was widespread outrage. After all, this wasn't just anyone. It was a defense officer, his face bloodied, talking about being assaulted by locals. And the outrage that followed wasn't just about language discrimination. It was about a civilian daring to lay hands on a soldier, a hero. The implication is that a man who serves the nation could do no wrong. So if he is hurt, it's seen as an attack on the nation itself. But then something else happened. CCTV footage surfaced and it showed a whole different side of the story. It showed Wing Commander Bose chasing, kicking, and beating up the biker again and again and again, so violently that bystanders were forced to step in and pull him away. One eyewitness told the media he feared the man being beaten up, a call center worker named Vikas Kumar, might actually die. Now, the police say none of this was about language in the first place. It was a road fight and both sides escalated.
Video footage, what is seen is that it is mentioned in that way, but the initial this thing appears to be due to a small altercation between a bike rider and the driver and co-passenger.
Despite all this, the national media had already spun the story into another Kannada versus Hindi drama.
Would you say that There is more to it than just road rage. The fact was that these two worked at the DRDO because he said, you DRDO people. Then he's speaking about, you are in Kannada land, I will show you. This was, someone who belongs to the state telling people who don't belong to the state that you don't belong here.
So why are facts being thrown aside for outrage clicks? First, let's go back to Bose's video and the claims he made.
Suddenly, one bike came from behind, stopped in between. He came out, started abusing me in Kannada. That my car has a DRDO sticker. He says that you DRDO people and said many things in Kannada, and finally she abused my wife. More people came surprisingly and started abusing us, that we are doing wrong things.
But visuals show Bose putting Vikas in a chokehold, punching him in the face and hurling his phone to the ground in an apparent attempt to break it. Vikas used his bike keys to attack Bose, but who started it all remains unclear from the footage. Now both Bose and Vikas have been booked. Vikas was initially arrested but released on station bail once the footage came out. And yes, a counter FIR has been filed against the Air Force officer himself, and under serious charges like attempt to murder and voluntarily causing hurt. So how did this story go from two people lost their temper on a Bengaluru road to Kannada speakers are attacking our Jawans? The answer is simple. Because outrage sells and nuance is too boring for prime time. And let's not forget that Karnataka is an opposition-ruled state, so amplifying every incident has become a duty for these channels. On News 18's primetime debate show The Hard Facts, there was some heart-twisting of facts, as Rahul Shivshankar outraged.
The military uniform salutes only one flag, the tricolour. The military uniform sacrifices for only one land, that is Bharat.
Right-wing spokesperson Anand Ranganathan went further.
Almost daily, you see the news coming from down south, which is my state, peddling such rank xenophobia and parochialism, talking about language not being acceptable, talking about delimitation not being acceptable, talking about all sorts of supremacist things.
As you heard, South Indians are being blamed for a lot of things, including standing up for their rights if a delimitation exercise begins. Anand also recalled an old case from Kerala.
This is in 2023, when an armed forces personnel was brutally attacked in Kerala by civilians, and on his back, PFI was written. Such attacks are happening with alarming regularity.
But the actual hard fact, one that Rahul Shivshankar failed to fact check, that case, the one where PFI was painted on the soldier's back, had turned out to be a hoax. The soldier Shine Kumar wasn't actually attacked. The police found that he staged the entire incident with a friend, hoping to go viral and get famous. He faked the injuries, faked the story, and the police caught the lie within hours and even arrested him. And this isn't an isolated incident. In June 2023, another soldier, Prabhakaran, went viral with a much more serious claim. He alleged that his wife had been molested and stripped by a 120-person mob in Tamil Nadu's Thiruvannamalai. It was horrifying until we looked closer. A leaked phone call between him and a man named Vinod raised some serious doubts. So the News Minute went to Palvedu, the village where it supposedly happened, and found that the story didn't hold up. Residents denied it. The supposed mob never existed. Turns out the false claim was allegedly made to cover up a family dispute over a shop. But by then the lie had already spread. And that's exactly the problem. When stories like these are weaponized without waiting for facts, it doesn't just mislead the public. It hurts real people, undermines trust in institutions, and deepens divides that didn't need to exist in the first place. Now, there have always been some fault lines between the armed forces and civilians, especially in cantonment towns. In Sikandrabad, for example, roads inside the military areas were shut to public for years, turning a short ride into an 8-kilometer detour for local residents. When the Ministry of Defence finally ordered those gates open, army personnel weren't happy. Some even staged drills that block civilians. The army says it's about security. Civilians say it's about access and accountability. Now, both sides are frustrated, and this isn't new. In Pune too, cantonment roads were closed without public consultation, causing massive inconvenience. What starts as a civic issue often snowballs into an emotional rhetoric of anti-national and the ungrateful public. But it's really just people trying to get to work or get back home. Does that mean people in Karnataka, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu or Kerala have problems with the armed forces? Of course not. But if you had watched some of the channels or followed some of the conversation on social media, you would believe so. So when a video goes viral and when uniform is invoked, it's worth asking, what are we really reacting to? The story or the symbolism behind it? Look, the visuals from the Bengaluru case make it clear. Shiladitya Bose behaved shamefully. Bringing the IAF into a personal fight is both unwarranted and disrespectful to the armed forces. But my question is also to those who amplified many of his lies without question. And they even went after people who were standing up for their state. Did you not think once to verify facts before starting a smear campaign? Because such distortions only increase the animosity between the locals and those who don't speak the local language, and this includes the armed forces too. Listen, standing up for one's language, culture or state is not anti-national or divisive, and it's about time we all start accepting this. I'm going to leave it at that, but before I go, here's a plug. Our political newsletter called Power Trip finishes 100 glorious editions. This is something that Dhanya, Shabir, Nidish and I put together every week, but this is only for subscribers. So this is your chance, become a subscriber and access all of our 100 Power Trip newsletters.